What it is, y'all, it's your old boy Pilk, and I'm coming back today with another danchro video. Now, I dropped a video earlier today kind of ranting about the current state of danchro, the current state of units and things like that. And I think this is just kind of, I don't want to say indicative of it, but it's just very interesting to come to this video on the back side of that. So, why do I say that? Well, if you remember back to our previous fights, when it comes to Battle 10 and Battle 11, we had to deep dive those bad boys. We had to build those teams out, struggle, and even with the Battle 11 team, we just wound up needing a little bit of extra oomph, and we really had to pair somebody with Chloe to pull that out. Now, I will compare those units here in a moment. Well, actually, you know what? It's a great time to compare those units. Let's just do it, right? When it comes to Chloe very specifically, we worked with her yesterday. My Chloe... let's go ahead and pull her all the way up here, if I may be so kind. Computer, thank you. There we go. Excellent. Didn't want to do that for a minute. So when we pull her up here, my Chloe's A0. So she's, she's okay. You can see her power and HP stats, strength stats, and all that. But when it comes to her actual skills and whatnot, front-facing AoE attack 4 times, 260% with an 800 cooldown, 390 with a 1200 cooldown, 3 consecutive front-facing AoE attacks, and 13% poison attack multiplier, as well as a 520% with a 20% with a 2000 cooldown. So, she does a few things, but she doesn't do an insane amount. Now, by comparison, let's also say clear the air here. All her skills are leveled up. Her ability board isn't the best, admittedly. I could do more with her ability board, but she kind of fell apart pretty fast, and she needed healing. As kind of a refresher, what I've done here is I've kind of scaled the playing field a little bit so that she is kind of more in line with what we see with Anya. But let's go ahead and talk about Anya real quick before we kind of rerun that fight. So when it comes to Anya, she is +1, okay? I can't get her any higher than that. She's also level 80, and her power and HP aren't that much higher. Her numbers really have not changed much in comparison to Chloe. And in fact, if I go into her skill details and I go down here to A0, nothing on her skill, her normal attack. Let's just compare here. 1 limit break, nothing changes. Technique 1 limit break, nothing changes. Technique 2, nothing changes. Technique 3, we go from 780 to 900%, which is pretty close to what Chloe had. The big difference is here we got 10% shield, but I don't think that 10% shield is making that insane amount of difference. So, by all accounts, and plus I do want to emphasize here, Anya is maxed out here on her skill levels. Her ability board's a little higher, but not insanely so. She's just got a couple extra boards. It's not... This is all still board 1. We haven't even touched board 2 on either one of these units. So it's not like she's insanely outclassed. As far as scene cards on her, I've got an increased special move damage with a 4% damage increase. I have fire attribute buff, 43% action skill damage. Once again, still not a defensive buff, just an offensive buff. And finally, this one does have like a water attribute thing going on, but we're really just getting the stamina increase out of this. That's about all that's really happening there. And there's a question as to whether even that is all that effective. Item-wise, I'm just giving her this for a little bit of endurance. And I think Chloe had the blue cloak. Yeah, she did. So defensively, they're kind of on similar grounds, right? Let's run this. Oh, and worth noting, I didn't talk about it, but Hestia is raw offense. Hestia is not a healer. Hestia is just here to boost Anya's damage output. And I kind of want to show you the difference here. So if you remember yesterday, Chloe got really close to the end, but she fell apart after a while. She really couldn't produce enough damage when we got to the baby dragon. She just kind of... She went the distance, but then at the finish line, just kind of fell in her face a little bit. And that's where Anya is a completely different animal. Now, you could easily say, sure, it's because we've given her a lot more offensive capability, but I'm going to rerun Chloe and show you what I mean by this. This is just kind of to compare apples to apples. Two units that dropped at the same time are both general pool units and have completely separate capabilities. And I mean that by a huge margin. There we go. Now, I want you to bear in mind, like, how long we've been at this, okay? Anya, keep calling her Chloe. Anya is just absolutely doing her thing. She's going ham. Completely unbothered by our foes around us. Just handling her own business. Go, girl. Now, she did have a shield there, but, you know, that's just kind of indicative of her capabilities and what she does. Now, notice she's focusing up on the blackback, and he's done. He is done. Gone. Now we're focusing up on the silverback. Arguably, probably the bigger threat, but, you know, she was right to get one out of the way and then focus on the other. But he'll unleash a barrage here. But while he's doing that, she's just wailing on him, and he is through. Gave up. All done. Okay? Also, the one thing that I do want to emphasize here that I think is kind of interesting, and I kind of knew about this, but also completely forgot about it at the same time before I made this video. Hestia isn't maxed out here in her skills. Hestia is lacking these. We would get a little bit more out of her with that, and she is level 70 instead of level 80. But let's rerun Chloe here by comparison and talk about the differences. So initially when we ran this yesterday, we had to run her with a healer. We ran her with the Freya unit, the green Freya, which I know kind of reduces her damage a little bit, but it's not a world-ending amount, to be honest. Plus, she needed the healing desperately. So what we've got on her today to increase her offense is a whole bunch of strength buffs. She is a strength unit. She will utilize those to the... Would you go to the other screen? Thank you very much. There. She'll utilize these skills to the best of her ability. And, yeah, I just want to give her every opportunity to kind of go at this on equal footing. 37% action skill damage. Great buff. And a water damage buff, which is a general offensive buff to her. Now, she doesn't have the stamina buff, but the stamina buff I don't think is going to do her enough good. If you remember how this went down, you know how this is going to go down. But for comparison, when we've got her skills here, she's going to provide some attacks and provide some buffs, but she's not going to provide the healing. So let's see how Chloe... built similarly, not identical, but similar enough, because you can't do an identical build here. Wish you could, but you can't. Let's see how she do. Okay, so far so good. But if you notice, right out of the gate, she seems a little bit slower. And then I want to emphasize, there's no speed buff on Anya. Anya is just a faster unit. So it just goes to show you right away, Chloe's sitting here at half health. Half health. And we are barely out of the first room. Anya was at what? 90% health out of the first room? Granted, the rooms are a little bit different. This one is a slightly different arrangement. But I think apples to apples, it still is a worthy assessment. And Chloe's actually about to be done. Her fight will end here very soon. She just takes way too much damage from these foes. Way too much. So I think it's just very funny, the comparison. We'll go back out here. So by all means, by all accounts, Anya's a way better unit. So if you're ever wondering like how to do a great comparison, Uncharted Battlefield's a great way to do it. And even Aisha and all the electric units we tried fell apart at the seams. Would I say that Anya's on the level of Artemis? Probably not. I think Artemis is arguably more like Thesta level, but Anya is up there. Anya I would put like the S tier of the URs, and I would honestly put Artemis on the level of, like, you know, the better Festa units and stuff like that. But that's me. Let me know what you guys think, as always, in the comments down below. But Uncharted Battlefield is over with. Make sure you guys go collect those rewards. Do not forget, when you go in here, you've got to click accept on all of these. Thankfully, I think I've already done it. Yeah, there we go. If you don't click accept, you don't get your rewards. So go get those rewards. But for now, like, comment, share. See you guys again real soon.